The SAFA Deputy President, Ria Ledwaba, says she will not be bullied by anyone at the association. Ledwaba briefed the media a short while ago on her candidacy into the SAFA presidential elections. Now, she has filed a court order to interdict the elections that are due on the 25th of this month. Let's get the latest now from our newsroom sports anchor, Benjamin Leshoro, who attended that media briefing. Benji, good morning to you. Before we talk about the latest on the court case, let's first touch on the highlights of the manifesto Ria Ledwaba presented before you.
Good morning, colleague. Good morning to our viewers yet again. Yes, I think this is the day that a lot of football fans had anticipated to hear finally from Ria Ledwaba. Since she was announced as a candidate, in fact, since she was rumored, let me put it like that, to be a candidate for the SAFA presidency, a lot of football fans wanted to hear from her. We were supposed to hear from Ria Ledwaba last month, but that was stopped. You'll remember the infamous press conference that never took place when she did not show up on the day of that press conference. Lucky for us, today she did show up, and she was here as the proceedings started earlier this morning. And part of her manifesto and the main points, if I can just quickly go through those challenges at SAFA, she mentioned that there's no funding at grassroots level, and that was her main point. She sort of based her campaign on grassroots football, that before we look at Bafana level, before we look at senior national team level, we need to look at developmental football and grassroots level. And she looked at specifically the finances that are provided to the LFAs. Those are the local football associations. She says they get a grant of only 35,000 rand, and that is according to people like her who've been in football and who have had their own football clubs in days gone by. That is very little money to be running a football club, even at amateur level. She spoke about school sports and that legends must work with the schools and educators. Legends like Brian Baloyi, like Mark Fish, were here in attendance at the press conference and she specifically pointed to them to say, you should not be sitting at home. You should be working with schools to make sure that South African football is bright. She spoke about women's football. She said it is very sad that there's no women's department at the South African Football Association, and that it should be there and run by women. She spoke about sponsorship, and she said sponsors will not, and this is a direct quote from Ria Ledwaba, they will not support SAFA, they will support an individual or a leader whom they trust. And she sort of hinted that sponsors will not or have not trusted the current leadership of SAFA, which is the reason why SAFA has struggled. And it looks like they are in favor of Danny Jordan, the incumbent, going to this election, where she sort of suggested that he is a referee in his own match because he is running for the presidency, but he's deciding a lot of things that have to do with other candidates as well. So, clearly, in short, that was what Ria Ledwaba had to say in terms of her opening arguments, let me put it like that, in as far as her manifesto leading up to the elections on the 25th of June.
Yeah, Benji, unfortunately we can't get to the last point, but I'm sure you will make all of that clear when you compile that report. All right, Benjamin Leshoro, let's leave it there.